The date is December 27th, 2022. My name is Coven. Last night, I murdered my husband, Ryan. This is my confession. You probably think my husband is the victim here, because he's the dead one. Maybe he is, I don't know. Ryan did love me, in his own unique way. I don't think he ever really wanted to hurt me. It was just an unfortunate side effect of keeping me in his life. We met in our senior year of college and began dating shortly afterward. He grew very attached very quickly. I was uncomfortable moving as fast as he wanted, and it seemed like he just couldn't slow down. When I decided to break things off, I had no reason to be afraid of him. 3 weeks after graduation, he kidnapped me. There isn't much proof of what happened back then. My wounds are healed or scarred over. Ryan's tools are lost or discarded. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe he just tucked them away in the attic like Christmas lights. Not needed for today, but always ready for the future. I wrote in a diary for a few months. Day 56 of my captivity. But I knew he read it, and he knew that I knew. So it just became another game between us. After graduation, I had moved back to my hometown, halfway across the country from my college friends, and my relationship with my parents was strained. The only person who really missed me was my sister, Alice. She looked for me, and she almost found me. I didn't even know my sister was dead for 3 months. We were fighting. Ryan and I, we often fought back then. And he screamed it at me. He apologized afterwards for telling me in the heat of the moment. My husband buried Alice in the garden, and I planted a rose bush over her. Sometimes I think about the roots tangled up in her bones. Every Valentine's Day, Ryan would cut roses from it and give them to me. There were opportunities to escape, I suppose. Things like that are always much clearer in hindsight. But you can't always see them in the moment. When Ryan left me alone, I knew he could walk back in at any time. When I worked in the garden, he could be watching me through the window. The uncertainty paralyzed me, along with the knowledge of how far he would go. He brought home pets for me. They were his best gifts because I adored each and every one. And they were his worst gifts because he used them as insurance. No one questions a dead dog. My opportunities to escape grew more frequent over the years, but I was well trained by then. Further, I was terribly afraid. How much could I really prove? How much damage could he do before the police arrested him? If I stayed, I could contain the destruction. He was almost normal if I was compliant. After 6 years, we married. I signed our wedding forms with my right hand. I read in a book once that it wasn't legal if you didn't sign with your dominant hand. I liked the thought that maybe we weren't married at all. I liked to imagine how much that would unsettle him. I never checked to see if it was true. I had no interest in the truth. He took me out much more after that. I never thought of myself as much of an actor, but we put on quite a show together, Ryan and I. The perfect couple. We continued like that for years, and he seemed happy. Life was easier when he was happy. Maybe Ryan got bored of me. I was bored of myself. I was almost a blank slate by then. Nothing left a mark on me. Maybe he felt settled and secure. Maybe he could sense my distance and was looking for a new way to tie us together. Regardless, he decided he wanted to have a child. I hardly existed, and he had a criminal record. No one was going to give us a baby. I was grateful for that. I did want children once upon a time, but not then. Not with him. I couldn't imagine the twisted mockery of a childhood we would have strung together. I told him 1,000 reasons why I didn't want a child. I was convinced I had successfully dissuaded him. I was so sure that he had let it go. I was very good at lying to myself by then. He hadn't done anything to anyone in so long. I really thought I was the only one in danger. If I had known what he was planning, I like to think I would have killed him sooner. Or finally called the police. I don't know, something. Maybe that's a lie, too. On Christmas morning, he came home with a baby. Small and healthy, and still covered in his mother's blood. He called him my present. So I smiled and thanked him. I barely slept that night. When Ryan asked, I blamed it on the baby. I couldn't sleep the next night either. They had featured a missing woman on the news earlier that evening. She was 9 months pregnant, and she had disappeared on Christmas Eve. Her husband and parents were holding a press conference. They must have known she was gone right away, and they were standing next to the most beautiful photo of her. She looked a little like me. A little like Alice. I thought about her son growing up without knowing she had ever existed. Calling her murderer Dad. Wondering why his parents couldn't love him. I eased myself out of bed and whispered to the kitchen to get a glass of water. I always had an excuse ready, and a knife that was small enough to hide in my pocket. I crept back into our bedroom and into our bed. Him and I were face to face when I plunged the knife into the hollow of his throat and dragged it across to the artery. I waited until Ryan stopped moving, and then I waited for another hour. Then I called the police to report a murder and return a missing child. thought it would feel good. Finally, being free from him. It just feels strange.